Hey, this is Hawkeye, and guess what? This is the very first time I've done a show on video. And I'm so fortunate to have with me today a very calm and comforting guest, and that's Siilverbolt from the CTR Guild. We're going to talk about the things that she's doing in her artistic life, what she's doing for the CTR Party, and also what she's been doing with a really cool cosplay outfit. So, enough of me prattling on. Hello, Siilverbolt.
Hello, how's it going?
Well, it's going pretty good. I'm here twiddling and anxiously clasping my clammy palms in anticipation as I'm looking at myself talking, and I'm trying to avoid that. However, even
Keep you
more,
distracted.
yeah, even more importantly, how did you get into gaming and specifically Blizzard gaming?
Oh man, well, my gaming starts all the way back to Nintendo and Atari. I had an older sister who had a Nintendo, and I had cousins who had an Atari. From there, just Super Nintendo, GameCube, and then at that point, I think we got our first computer, which was a Windows 95, first home computer. And I used to always go to like we go to Walmart or we go to Target, and I'd always be perusing those aisles, looking at the next cool games. And one of the ones that kept on calling out to me was the battle chest. So it was
Ah,
StarCraft and Diablo 2.
oh,
And
wow.
I that's where I started with Blizzard games was that battle chest right there. Um, it was pretty cool. Played Brood War, and then I had friends of eventually get into high school, and we started doing LAN parties. And I think that's where I first played Warcraft 3. I just remember taking over one of the forts that had dragons, and I had like I don't know like 7 or 8 dragons that I like hit off to the side of the map until I was like, all right, everybody go! And, like just won the entire map, took everybody out. But from there, then I met one of my other really good close friends, and he got me into World of Warcraft. He had an account that there was like 7 of us that had a character started on it, and then him and I,
Count sharing.
yeah, but this is back in the day where we come over to his place and hang out all night, and one person would be on the computer
Right.
playing for a couple hours, and then we trade off. And eventually, him and I, we rolled characters together. He rolled a new account, and I kept the other account, and we played together through Vanilla and Burning Crusade, raiding together. And then eventually, things kind of fell apart for him with he just moved on to other games. And I just kept the love for this game going and going. I just it's been a love hate relationship in the sense that I love the story, I love the art, I love the little corny jokes and hidden things and funny puns throughout the whole game. But I just all my real life friends, all my local friends stopped playing. And so for quite a few years now, I've been playing solo, and I would go through these funks of just depression because I love this game, but I don't have anybody to share that love with.
Hmm.
So that's I started listening to podcasts pretty heavily. Got involved with listening to CTR, Convert to Raid, and The Instance, and I've been growing my list of podcasts I listen to from there. Just trying to keep up with the game, even though I couldn't play or didn't have time to play. Trying to keep up with what was going on in the game. And it was at the end of BlizzCon last year, hearing all the hype and all the fun, that I was like, okay, this year I'm going to BlizzCon. Oh crap, I need friends. I don't know anybody.
Friends and money.
Yeah, so that leads me to Convert to Raid. I finally dove in, took the chance, and I only just joined the guild in March of this year.
And already you've found a job, right?
Oh my gosh, it's been a whirlwind. It's been a real big whirlwind. So it's a big story. So that's where I am here. Still playing World of Warcraft. I've unfortunately been a little busy outside in real life, but the game is still there in my heart, and I love being able to come talk Blizzard, talk World of Warcraft with people. So
Now I know that you've also you've only been kind of out of your solo world and into the community world specifically with CTR. But this is not the first podcast you've been on, correct?
No, that's been a huge change too, and kind of came hand in hand with diving headlong into the community. We got a local community gnome by the name of Frasleytastic at Frasleytastic on Twitter. He started up his own podcast called the
Yeah.
Frazzlecast, and I got asked to be a guest on there. It's been I think about three times now I've been on there, and I've got another one coming up. I think at the end of this month.
Well, I'm going to have their cast on too. And he said, can you accommodate 5 guests? Which
Oh my
means I'm
gosh.
going to have to turn this thing here into 5 little pieces so everybody can be on. Oh,
Oh my.
you know what? I'm failing too in being a grateful person. Uh, just want to point out that the little BlizzCon Countdown box that's over our heads was created by Dreadscythe. Yeah, right up there. By Dreadscythe, who's now, I've known him for a few years, a few BlizzCons, and he hooked me up with this little goodie when I told him I was going to do uh, uh, a video thing, and he said, I have an idea of what I can do." So he did that for me, and I owe him drinks and a few other things, and then we'll be square on that. But it's a lot of fun, and it's all community. Uh,
Oh, it's great. It really that's fantastic. It looks great.
Thank you. Okay, so you hooked up, and this is one of the communities you're involved in. I
Yes.
was I what are those? What's that art behind you over your left shoulder?
So back to what you were talking about of my cosplay. One of my other communities I have uh, participated in is the furry community. I've had a passion for cosplay and costumes and just creating really cool fantasy costumes. And part of that goes hand in hand with fursuit makers.
Hmm.
They're really talented people, like to be able to make these creatures and bring them to life. You know, we're talking mascots or mascot outfits, same thing, except for in some cases. So with the furry community, they're personal characters, characters that people have made up. So they're not like Bugs Bunny or anybody other big named. I mean, you can find those too in there, but majority of them are self-made characters and of representation of yourselves.
Right.
So I made the armor first, my cosplay, and I jumping into the furry community. I'm like, well, let's make a fursona, which is like a persona. So like,
Hmm.
what is this armor? What does this character represent? Well, I went to a friend of mine and she made some artwork for me. I have a character. His name is Wicker, and that's my dragon
Yeah,
armor.
I can see it. Good
And
there.
so one of the things that with the furry community is what you do is you get artwork of yourself, or you get artwork of your character, and you get
Right.
artwork of your character with your friends and things like that. So that's what I have. I've got a couple other ones here as well adorning the wall, which is just kind of fun little cartoons and art of my character.
And what's the uh, there's something written underneath your character there.
Oh, this one?
Yes.
It's so there's a couple of these like little cartoons floating around on the internet of these like little dragon images, and there's like a hoarder of books and there's a
Uh-huh.
hoarder of other toys and things like that. And so I asked my friend to take one that was hoarder of friends, and that's what this artwork was. And the two little characters in there are two of my best friends. Their
Very
characters.
cool. Very cool. Congratulations. Yeah, it's really neat how you've found circles of friends, either helped generate them or plugged into them in a big way. Certainly, there are thousands of people in Convert to Raid, and there are only dozens who have jumped in like you have.
Yeah, it's been surprising. Just I I can't put it into words of what it's like. It's something that I've been looking for, and I've gotten the responses that I've been wanting, and all right, let's do it. Let's go. Let's have fun. Let's go do some fun stuff in game. And that's where I got approached by Tur Arts to lead some events. I had a couple events already started just on my own, just looking for people to go do stuff. And she said, "Hey, you'd be really good as an event planner if you'd like to give it a go." And so that's where I am now, actually, to lead you into that.
No, not all guilds are kind of large enough to have events, an event planner, or a department of event
Oh gosh,
planners.
yeah.
But all guilds like to have events. What are some of the events that you've participated in or helped lead? It doesn't matter whether you led them or not, but just maybe give some people some ideas of the types of events that they could do also in their own guilds.
Yeah, I did some research trying to find some fun things to do, and one of the fun things I love doing, I love transmog. Transmog and mount runs. Those are the things that I like to do in World of Warcraft, making my little fancy outfits, and I play a hunter, so I've got to match my outfit to my pets, to my mounts, to my mini pets. So it's always finding the perfect outfits for that. So one of the things I wanted to do was transmog runs, and it's like, well, how do you make Molten Core fun? Like, if you've got 5 people running in Molten Core, it's not fun because they're dropping left and right real quick. I know. Let's go naked. So so looking up online, I found a couple little informations about that. Naked transmog runs. And so you start off with no clothes
Oh,
whatsoever, and you run through the dungeon. You can only roll on gear that you can add to your transmog list. And so if you need a lot of transmog, you might get a lot of gear that night. And so the person with the best quote unquote hobo mog at the
yeah,
end,
yeah,
or
yeah.
lack thereof, um, which, hey, people have won with a shoulder and belt. It's quite hilarious. It's been a lot of fun. So naked transmog raids were a huge hit. Achievement runs, we've done achievement runs. Hide and go seek Stormwind. Last night was one of the events, and we all rolled night elves, and we raced from Darnassus to Oldham, all the way to the Delta of Oldham.
Yeah.
I gave up in Desolace. I couldn't get any further. So, yeah, that's where I ended up there. But there's a lot of other good ideas, and I'd like to do some scavenger hunts, but those take a little bit more planning, a little bit more time, and I haven't had that right now. But just been sticking to the transmog runs, achievement runs for people, like old achievements, and yeah, just the fun stuff that you don't have time to do the entire week because you're raiding and you're grinding out gear and reputation. You just want something to relax and do something goofy and funny with friends. That's what I'm here for.
Outstanding. Now let's moving then to BlizzCon. Uh, Before we talk about what you're doing with the party and the cosplay, let's just talk about the fact, as I understand it, you've never been to BlizzCon before. Is that correct?
I have never been to BlizzCon. I am, oh my gosh, the hype.
I can see it. I can see it.
It's oh my gosh, I can't believe it. I can't believe it. And I'm not a religious person. This is my pilgrimage. I was just thinking about the other day, like I never
Mm.
like really thought of like what would be a pilgrimage for somebody. BlizzCon. Yep, BlizzCon.
Had you? It sounded from what you were saying earlier, this was the first time you'd ever thought of going to BlizzCon. Is that?
Um, I might have thought about it last year at some point. Like I thought it'd be really cool to go, but one of the things I've been learning as I've gotten older, is if you want something, you got to make it happen.
Mm.
And that's been something I've been diving in and doing, which is like if there's you get the drive hard enough, and that's what it was at the end of last year. Is that it was sounded like so much fun listening to like Convert to Raid and the Instance and their live streams going on there at BlizzCon. I was like, oh my god, I'd love to be there. And I'm like, that's it. I'm doing it. We're doing it. I'm doing it. I'll make it happen. So, and that's where it ended up now. It's just the drive to do it, and I it's great.
Now,
So.
Where do you live?
I live in Chicago.
Okay, so halfway across the country.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good trip, a good 4 hour flight, give or take. But I'm pretty excited, and I'm staying with some guildies already. I had a hotel room, but I didn't have any bites and anybody to join me for it. But actually, a fellow guildie happened to be looking for some more people, so I was like, yes, please.
Yeah.
So that was good because otherwise I was not about to eat $700 worth of hotel room by
No.
myself. That's already expensive enough as a trip as it is. So that's pretty cool. I get to stay with some other guildies. And it's funny because I was listening to one of your earlier episodes with Ashanka, and I have him to thank a lot for securing a ticket for me for BlizzCon. So that got really, really lucky. I couldn't get in at all. I tried. Refreshed, and I had a couple different computers open at the time, and I just couldn't get it. But
That sounds right.
uh, it was great. I mean, with everything going on, again, I said before, I was like, I'm not religious, but I feel blessed. I feel really, really blessed for everything coming here to this guild and everything else happening. It's like I'm gonna be at BlizzCon, and I'm gonna be at the opening ceremonies with Valen Hall, because we're gonna be getting up at like 5 a.m. to go wait for the main hall, and I'm gonna be in
Yeah.
tears. I
Yeah.
can tell you, like, right now, I'm gonna be in tears because it's gonna be amazing.
Now, the thing that you're doing, you have an interesting job. You and I hope will be helping with the Convert to Raid party, which takes place Friday evening. It's free to everyone. It's open to everyone. We have all kinds of people dropping by. Uh, at any given moment, there's maybe half of the people in the room are from the guild, and the other uh, half of the people are just heard there's a party going on, and they maybe are a little bit tired of the Hilton bar, which you'll get to enjoy the magnificence of the of the Hilton bar on a weekend. Oh, by the way, what day are you getting in?
I am arriving Thursday afternoon, early afternoon, and I'm
Okay,
staying through till Monday. So
you
Disney Sunday.
you won't get to see the full build that takes from Tuesday to Wednesday to Thursday, from Friday to Saturday, but you'll see the jump that happens in the Hilton bar between Thursday to Friday to Saturday like crazy.
I'm already hearing it, and I'm like, all right, next year we'll start on Wednesday. I'll next year I think I'll be coming on Wednesday.
Amen, sister. So what's your task for the CTR
Um,
party?
so yeah, I got asked. They thought that I'd be pretty good at talking to people. I mean, I don't know if I've proven that here tonight that I pretty talkative. But I'll be finding people for Cuddles to interview on the live stream. So I'll be tracking guildies down, raid leaders, other instance or other podcasters that might be coming through, grabbing them and be like, oh hey, you're up next. You're gonna go talk to Cuddles next. Or I heard devs. I'm gonna be talking to devs. I was like,
Yeah,
holy
could be, could
crap.
be. Whoever you can rope in. Now, it depends on how many drinks the devs have, because sometimes the PR people don't want them talking without, screening and permission and all that. I know that Cuddles, who's one of our guildies, very active young man, and he had a chat with Scott Johnson, and of course Scott being one of the gurus of the clan of podcasting. Of course, Cuddles handled it cool and professionally, but breakfast the next day is like, Hog, I can't believe I talked to Scott Johnson on the air. It was so awesome. Did anybody see how much I was shaking, though?
That's Yeah, I could see that, and I'm probably gonna be in the same boat. I probably actually talk to people, and I wouldn't even. There's a few people I know by voice and by
Yeah,
face, but there's gonna be people that be like, "Do you know who you just talked to?" I'm like,
yeah.
"No, who? Oh, that was such and such," and I'll be like, "Oh my god, I had no idea."
Well, people generally respond to cameras and microphones, and 80% of the people run towards and 20% run away, but people podcasters and such, they run towards them. So if you find a
Well,
group running towards you and trying to tackle you, me, you probably know that they're a podcaster.
that's awesome. I'm getting pawed at by my cat here.
Oh, that's right. Tell us about your animal house there. I can see
Yeah,
the tree gem over your right shoulder.
yeah. I've got two cats and a dog in my little one-bedroom apartment. Once you have one cat, you can't stop. So I've got two cats and a dog. So yeah, but it gets a little lonely. You get company. So they're great. They're sweethearts.
That's funny. My wife and I were just talking about one of our dogs is 15 years old and starting systems are starting to fail.
Oh yes.
And so she said, "Do you think we'll get another dog after Ginger goes?" And I said, "Yeah, we probably will." She says,
Yeah.
"Yeah, we probably will, won't we?"
It's been kind of rough over here. My one friend who I talked about earlier, who got into World of Warcraft, who got me into World of Warcraft, lives in my same building. He's my best friend for going over 10 years now. Um, we just had to put his dog down.
Hmm.
And he works second shift, so I would come home from work and I would take both dogs. So I had her for half the day for 9 years.
Oh,
So
wow.
she was basically like my dog too.
Yeah.
And it's been kind of rough. And at least he still has my dog. He's been spoiling the poop out of him. He's
Mm-hmm.
gotten him new toys, got him a new like little bowl to eat out of, and he's got a new leash coming, and he's giving him like high quality food that I can't afford. So he's just getting spoiled rotten right now.
That's awesome. Hey, I want to circle round back to the cosplay because you shared some pictures on Twitter that
Yes.
I'll try to link if I can figure out how to do that. And they were just incredible. It
Thank
was
you.
your dragon suit, uh, and there are two things that blew me away. One is the length of years that you put into that, and since it's dragon scale, it's individual scales sewn onto some sort of medium, and uh,
Here they are.
the
Every
yes.
yep. That's
And how many of those? Well, what was the undergarment that you attached them to, or how does that?
it's It's all so if you look at the one scale here, it's got a circle on the top of
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
And with chainmail, it's just connected to each other with rings. So every single ring is connected to another scale, and it's woven together, ring by ring, scale by scale. So it's all chainmail, all put together. Every ring, every scale's been handled by me.
And if I had been really clever, I would have asked you have to have that available. But again, I'm going to try to link the pictures because it's just incredible. So again, if you didn't already answer this, maybe I missed it. How many rings and um, I'm sorry,
Uh,
what do you call them?
Scales.
Scales went
Yeah.
into this project.
So just you were talking about how the time it took. It's been a hobby project. So usually it's like the month or 2 months before my local Renaissance fair opens. They open usually at the weekend after 4th of July and they run through Labor Day weekend. And so it's usually like the month or two before fair that I'm like, oh crap, I got to do more to it and add another piece to it or add more to it.
Oh,
So even though it's been 6 to 7 years in progress, it's a couple months here or there at a time put into work into it. So it's been a slow growth project over many years now. And I think from what I remember when I ordered the scales, I ordered about 3,000 red and 3,000 orange. So it's at least 6,000 scales, and each scale has at least two rings attached to it.
wow.
So it's a lot, and for the first year or two, it was doing pretty well. Now I'll pull it out of the box, and I might find a loose ring or two, or a scale that's like doing this and you're like, oh no, something's wrong. I gotta go fix it. So it's starting to need repairs, and it's getting to the point now where I'm between other expenditures, trying to save up a little bit more money and start my armor 2.0. So start something new.
Oh, what's 2.0 coming at?
When or what?
What?
Uh, it's going to be. I try to want to make a kind of a different, full scale arms, full scale
Hmm.
pants. Just make it more of a dragon. Like I'm gonna have like I wanted like belly scales or like a full like armored chest, not just like the armor colored plating or whatever it is right now. So just kind of a new design, a little bit different, something different, and just go full dragon. It's you can ask oh gosh, Valenhall and Jules, and I'm drawing a mind blank on her name,
But
but
I have
they went.
seen Jules has been
Yep.
starting down that chainmail line.
Yeah. Well, I had this not this past weekend, but the weekend before. I took a journey to Minnesota. To the
Hmm.
Minnesota Ren Fest, and I got to hang out with Jules and Fallon Hall and a
Awesome.
couple others as well. And it was a lot of fun. And Jules kept on commenting on the look on people's faces when I came, walking through in that full armor, and just the kids, the light that shines on those kids' faces, like, oh, it's a dragon. It's just kind of cool. And coming around in the suit, be able to put those smiles on kids' faces and take a picture with them, interact with
Yeah.
them. It's just so much fun. It's just a lot of fun to be able to be a dragon for a day.
Yeah. Now, the picture, how did you make the headpiece?
It's a resin base. It's a preformed head from a fursuit supplier. So they're out there. There's fursuit suppliers. It's where I got the eyes, the horns, the jaw set, the teeth and the tongue inside of it.
Yeah.
You purchase all the parts individually and you put it together yourself. You can also find people who sell stuff like that pre-made, and you can purchase it that way. But it's a heck of a lot more expensive than if you make it yourself. So just I bought those pieces and just glued every scale to it. Hot glue and E6000, which is kind of a heavier duty glue.
Uh, I just really admire the fact that you had that much passion for the project over that extended period of time. But it's also cool that you're able to wear it per year and you didn't have to wait for the entire end to start enjoying it and let other people enjoy it as well. That's really nice. Well, let's sort of wrap it up. So I appreciate your time being here on the Maiden USS video program.
Thank you for having me.
Very
I was
good.
really excited. Like it's just been one podcast after another. I'm making a name for myself, and I don't know how I'm doing it, but I'm doing it apparently.
And we're, just that much closer to BlizzCon because it's, what, 10, 16, 17 now. And
Don't
it'll
tell me
just
about it. I got
be a
things to do.
few more weeks. Good news, bad news, right?
Exactly.
Okay, well, I look forward to seeing the costume and meeting you
It'll be there.
starting Thursday. And I would suppose that you're going to go to Con Before the Storm and start your meeting and greeting and making your contacts and reminding them to come by the Friday CTR party so they can expand their social reach by getting in line to talk with Cuddles on the live stream.
Absolutely.
Okay, I will say goodnight to you and thank you much for stopping by. Bye
Good
bye.
night. Thank you.
Bye,
Bye bye.
everybody. Thanks for coming along. Thanks again, Dread Scythe.